We've been having a lot of success recently of using different strategies to help brands make some more profit. Right now, with inflation and costs going up, you've got to really get creative on all the different ways and the things you have at your disposal to make some more profit. So I want to share with you one of my favorite strategies. I call it the snowball strategy because it's one of the things that people overlook, that if you do it, you can get more incremental profit, more incremental gross margins, and that's going to help you just to be more aggressive on spending money on ads, because at the end of the day, whoever acquires the most customers wins. So if you can find ways to squeeze more out of what you're already doing by changing nothing else, you can just obviously just take that money and take that profit, or you can then apply that to ads and scale. So let me show you what that looks like. How we use this strategy for our brands is when they are trying to scale, you always trying to find what are the extra few percent here, few percents there, I can make more money. And with a lot of volume, this snowball strategy can turn into 6 figures of additional profit, or even 7 figures of additional profit if you do it correctly. Now, let me walk you through what the strategy is. And along the way, I'm going to explain how we're using it with our brands we partner with, as well as how it enables us to be more aggressive to acquire more new customers. So the snowball strategy is this. Quite simply, it's by looking at the entire part of an e-commerce brand's business, is if you take it into different pillars, you can add or subtract small percentages of gross margins, of costs, of redistributing ad spend, that add up to massive additions to profit and bottom line. Let me give you an example. So we have 4 quadrants we look at this. We look at the product quadrant, then we look at the revenue sources quadrant, then we look at the product sales source quadrant, and then we look at customer type quadrants, okay, or pillars. So how this works is every brand, unless you have more than one SKU, there's a lot of different variations in costs and gross profit per products. Unless it's the same product in just different colors, that's one thing, or it's one product, you're gonna have very different degrees of this stuff. And then same thing with revenue sources. Every e-commerce brand is gonna have different levels of revenue that comes from ads or email, SMS, organic or shipping revenue. And if you have like a fashion brand, if you have many different collections and SKUs are gonna have varying degrees of profit that you are taking. Some are gonna be more expensive than others, some are gonna be higher prices than others. And different areas of brands have varying degrees of number of new customers versus returning customers. Now, how this strategy works that we've been able to do a lot with brands is if you could hypothetically take your product pillar and you could find a way to reduce the cost just 4%. Then if you could find a way to change how you distribute your marketing and change your different channels you focus on and increase your revenue from a certain channel by 8%. And then if you could reprioritize different product sales sources and prioritize ones that make you more profit and just get 6% more sales from that channel. And then if you could redistribute your focus on where you put your marketing attention to incentivize people to buy from you, and you increase the sales there by 5%, that can roll up to a massive 23% additional gross profit. Now, a lot of people may scoff at this, but we've done this for brands. By changing just a few small things, changing nothing else, we're able to add massive additions in gross profit. So for example, we literally just did this for one of our fashion brands. And the amazing story here is we didn't change anything with the ads, spent the same amount of budget. What we did do is we deprioritized some products we were going to focus on. Also, what we did is we changed up their shipping threshold, changed up some product pricing, and then changed up a few other really small things in terms of marketing focus and channel. And that gave them a massive 29% lift by changing nothing else. And when you're doing a lot of volume, that really is the power of there's so many different levers you can pull that add up to massive differences. So for example, that's why, for example, changing your shipping threshold, this one brand in 1 month got $6,000 extra revenue just from a shipping threshold that everyone's getting free shipping anyways. They just had to add an extra product to unlock that free shipping. And so what that did was it was less margin they were giving away. They got more shipping revenue from people, and they got a little extra gross profit as well because people add more to their basket to get that free shipping threshold. So that's an example. And it's working so well that we actually have brands in our monthly NPS question we send them of how are we doing, who are saying how happy and how excited they are to work with us because we are starting to notice that these little changes over their product line add up to really significant additions in gross profit. So imagine now if you have very low profit margins, like sub 10%, for example, imagine what additional 20% gross profit would do to your bottom line. So we employ this strategy a few different areas. So typically when a brand is doing something like this. So when we're looking at a brand, there's certain benchmarks we look at. So we look at, is the OPEX to revenue threshold, is it less than 20%? Really, you want it less than 10%, to be honest with you. Our gross margins of their products, are they over 70%? The shipping cost as a percentage of revenue should be less than 10%. Return should be less than 10%. And the net profit should be over 10%. So these are just some benchmarks we look at when we are doing this kind of strategy. And that helps us to understand where are the levers we can employ to help them get some more gross profit. So what I want to do is I always want to show you one of these strategies, that snowball strategy I mentioned earlier. I want to walk you through how you can do this quite simply to start playing with it to see what levers can you change to make massive additions to your top line and bottom line. I actually have a whole SOP on how to do this. And so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go to Shopify. So I have here a brand that we work with. Now, you want to go to a report in Shopify called Profit by Product Report. Now, it's important that you use this report because if they are or you are incorporating your product COGS into Shopify as you should, then these numbers will show you the margin you have per product. And then you can actually look at gross profit per product, excluding discounts and things like that. If you don't have your cost of goods sold upload into Shopify, you're going to have to do this manually in a sheet, or after the fact, you're going to have to go back and add it into Shopify. But this is a prerequisite. And this is really important because this allows you to have more reporting features in Shopify that you can easily pull reports and see what products and product lines are actually making me more profit. So you want to go to this report and you have to make sure you include these things. So the first one is price. Got it. Okay. So that's the retail value of that product. Then you want to look at gross sales. Okay. Then you want to look at net quantity. Got it. Net sales. Got it. You want to look at cost. Got it. Okay. You want to look at margins, gross margin. Got it. You want to look at profit. Gross profit, got it. Discounts, this is important because as you'll see in a Google Sheet, some products and product lines were giving away way too much margin via discounts. And then you'll actually see, horrifyingly, some product lines that we thought were crushing for us are actually making us way less money than others because we're giving away too much margin. Okay, then we're gonna look at returns. Because this is important here because, and if you don't do this, you might find out that certain products and product lines and product types have higher returns, which again, just eats into your costs and your margins. And so by doing this strategy, we're able to see, okay, which lines are giving us more profit, which ones are giving us a lot of sales, but there's a crap ton of returns, which typically is like a fitting or a product quality issue. Okay. Then what we want to do here is also orders, because we want to see what is the actual total number of orders for that product and that product line. Why this is important is because we may also find that certain product lines are giving us a lot of really good volume. Certain product lines are actually making us more money because people are ordering more per that average order value. And so this gives us a really good overview. Okay. All right. So once you do that, you want to export that. Now I have already exported that into a sheet like this. So here is all their products. Now what I did was I went here and I chose a filter. You can choose the filter if you're using Google Sheets like that, right? So now you can filter by columns. And then what I want to do here is I want to put it in ascending order in terms of net sales. Because what that means is gross is obviously the gross. Net is after discounts, right? That you've given away. And so what I'm looking at here is when you filter this from highest to lowest, what are the top product SKUs that have made us the most amount of money? And there's different ways you can do it. This particular brand is a fashion brand, and this brand, they have a lot of SKUs per product, right? Because for fashion, you have different sizes, maybe different colors, many different reasons, you may have different SKUs. So you can, if you want, you can filter this by unique product. In this case, I'm just doing all SKUs by specific product that will give you more accuracy and upside. But this brand does so much volume, I'm just filtering it based off of just the top 5 SKUs. So I chose the last 12 months. You could do 3 months, 6 months. I personally like doing last 12 months because I want to see the entire year, what upside could I have gotten. So once I did that, this is already filtered into different columns, as you can see here. Total orders, returning orders. Then what I want to do is I want to ask myself a few questions. Is okay, of the products I have here, which of the ones gave me the most amount of gross profit overall? So 71,000, 60,000, 49,000, 44,000. Interestingly enough here, this one I gave a lot of margin away. So $23,000 of those gross sales I gave away just for discounts. Which ones have the higher returns? So what I'm looking for is, number one, what did I give away in terms of margin. Is that because of free shipping? Is that because of discounts? Also, is because we work with this brand, we know which of these sold out. So one thing I noticed looking at this brand is these dresses are constantly selling out, constantly. What's interesting is like the top selling product was on sale for $349, and these bottom ones right here we sell for $259. But what's interesting is that these bottom three right here are constantly selling out, constantly. But then what that tells me is that the supply and demand of these particular dresses is much greater than what I'm pricing for. So what that means is my hypothesis is I think I have some margin to increase the price. Now you could look at this in two ways. You could look at it as, okay, can I go contact my manufacturer and negotiate 3% cheaper cost, 5% cheaper? Because what you don't know is with manufacturers, you can, if you're doing enough volume, negotiate those single digit percentiles quite easily, especially if they've seen your volume, you've been working there for some time. A lot of brands just don't do that, which blows my mind. Go back and renegotiate your deals. But what I'm just going to do here is I believe because we're selling so many different like dresses for higher prices that I believe I can increase these prices of these dresses and I would continue to keep selling out. So in this particular example, what I'm doing here is I believe the opportunity is to increase the price because I'm already selling a more expensive product and it's selling out as well. So what I did was, and here's the strategy, is I quickly just went to the side and I highlighted what's the total gross profit of just the top 5 SKUs. Again, that's a quick formula. And then also, what is all the total sales of these products minus the top 5? Then what I did here is I just easily duplicated it. And this is going to be my working set that I'm playing with to make these assumptions. So here's what I did. Because I really believe that these products I could charge more and people will keep buying out of them, that I made a simple assumption that what if I increase the prices like 12% from a $259 to a $289? Because again, I'm already selling products more expensive than those and people are easily buying them. What would that end up being? So I took those top 5 products, just increased the prices from, to $259 to $289, changed nothing else, and I reran the numbers. I was like, okay, if I did that, what would the sales have turned into over the last 12 months? And so it would have been, instead of only making $276,000 from those top 5 products, if I sold out, because I sold out and people begged us to make more, would people have spent $30 more for that product? Absolutely. What would that have changed into? So just by changing that one lever of increasing the prices, if we could go back and rerun the entire year over again, the brand would have made an additional $196,000, an additional 12% change by changing nothing else. And what's crazy is that this brand sells a lot of those exact same products and SKUs. I just chose the top 5. So technically an argument can be made that if they increase the price on all those exact same products and all the SKUs of that product, it would have been far greater. And that's the beauty of the snowball strategy, is that if we changed nothing else and we assumed that everything was going to keep going again the same way, we would have made a brand an additional $196,000 by changing nothing, which is an additional 5% gross overall. And that's the power of the snowball strategy. So how we employ this for our brands is when we're trying to unlock new ways to grow, we're looking at where are our levers. Yes, you can try to spend more on ads, you can try to make better ads, but there's some point in time ads just aren't going to get any cheaper. So instead, you have to change your model on the back end so that it makes a more economical sense for your ads to keep spending and keep acquiring customers. One way of doing that is we look at, of the different products, where is the upside? Can we lower costs? Can we bundle things together? Can we increase the price of this product so now it gives us more margin on every sale, which then flows into more profit on the back end? And that's the snowball strategy. That's just one of the pillars, but it's so critical if you are running a brand right now that you look at this and you question everything you think. If you think people are willing to pay more, question it. If you think people aren't willing to buy bundles, question it. And until you actually test it, you're not going to really know, are you? 9 times out of 10, when we increase the prices of products for brands, customers don't say a word. A lot of times, if we decrease the cost of a product and keep the retail amount the same, no one ever knows, you just make more profit. When we often increase shipping thresholds, customers really say a thing. It's often inside our heads that we start to question that, customers are going to know and they're going to be ticked and they're going to be pissed off. They rarely do. In fact, sometimes when we increase the price for our brands, we tell customers, hey, we're increasing the price of this, and then they buy a crap ton before that happens. Hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. This strategy, I know it was quite tactical and it was very deep, but this is really helping us unlock more growth for brands because now with every order, they're making more money. We can scale harder and they have more cash flow and profit that they can reinvest in other areas of the business, whether that's hiring someone to help them out, hiring a team. It all adds up. And that's just one pillar. You can do this with all the pillars that I showed, and it can add up to massive additions in your business. See you in the next video.